What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we're going to be talking about the UFC Paris card that takes place this weekend, headlined by Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. I'm going to be giving my full card predictions for every single fight on the card. It's actually a pretty fun fucking card. Also a pretty deep card as well. There's some good fights even on the prelims. 14 fights total to talk about. So yeah, let's get into it. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Let me know if you agree with my assessments of the fight. But yeah, let's get started with the prelim opener. First fight on the card, Balaji Oki versus Chris Duncan. I'm going to be picking Balaji Oki to win this fight. I watched his debut and he didn't look like amazing, but I overall just rate his skill level higher than Chris Duncan, who, I mean, he got a comeback win on the Contender Series against Charlie Campbell, but he was getting tuned up. I don't think he's very good. He lost a clean decision. No, sorry, he won against Yanal Ashmuz, but he took Yanal Ashmuz to a decision when he had like a broken arm, which he broke in like the first round of the fight. He just got subbed in the first round by Manuel Torres, which isn't a great look because Torres did just get smoked by Barmondes. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't rate Chris Duncan very highly. He's Scottish. You know, you're on par with Paul Craig. Like, any Scottish fighters in the UFC that are good? I didn't think so. So I just don't rate his background. I don't, like, what was he probably fighting on Cage Warriors? I just think a lot of Cage Warriors fighters aren't that good, to be honest. And Balaji Oki, I think he's just a bit more powerful, a bit more explosive, and I think he's going to win this fight here by TKO. I'll say TKO, but I could just see a decision, to be honest, if Chris Duncan's durable and doesn't get finished, because he does have a solid chin. Anyway, I'll pick Balaji Oki. Let's move on to the next fight. Next up on the card, Norcal versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm going to be picking Cavalcanti because I think she's a better fighter than Norcal now. You know, this fight, I'd say the tried and true method of like picking women's MMA is pick the person who looks less feminine. And you could maybe say that's Nora Cornell because she's got the shorter hair. You know, she does have power. She actually got finishes on the record because she's got like a kickboxing background. But I've watched both of them in the UFC. I've seen Cavalcanti fight more recently, so maybe my memory of Nora Cornell, which is not very much, maybe that is diminished. I think she's solid. She finished Melissa Mullins, but Melissa Mullins is an English woman. English women are not good at fighting, hence Molly McCann. And so yeah, I just don't rate the wins that highly. She also kind of got like a robbery decision in her fight when she fought in Paris. Because she fought on the last Paris card, and from memory, I think she fought Jocelyn Edwards and like kind of got a robbery decision. Apparently it was a bit bullshit. I don't know who she fought, but apparently it was a robbery. But Cavalcanti, she just fought Josiane Nunes, who is potentially a male, and she kind of just danced around the outside and it was just too technical for her. So I rate Cavalcanti's skill, I rate her striking, and she's fought recently as well, so I do think she can probably come in here and look pretty solid. Maybe she's not really prepared for the fight because Cornell was meant to fight Jermaine Durandamy. Obviously, she pulled out. So Cornell, I think she is solid, and I think there is a good reason to pick her as an underdog because in women's MMA, favourites and underdogs really don't mean anything. So you should probably just like not bet on anyone in women's MMA. So I don't mind the idea of an Cornell pick because I am tempted to just be like, yeah, they'll just give her the decision because it's in Paris. But I am going to go with Cavalcanti and assume that she's just better because she did fight her. I forgot to mention this. They literally fought, and this is the only loss on Nora Cornell's record is a loss to Cavalcanti. So I reckon she'll get the win here again. Let's move on though to the next fight. Next up on the card, we got Daniel Barz versus Victor Altamirano. I'm going to be picking Perez here. Now, it's a close fight on the odds-wise. Altamirano is a slight favourite, and I think for good reason, but I am going to pick Perez. Now, Altamirano, who's got the better UFC experience, he's fought the better competition, you know, he went to a decision with Tim Elliott, but in that fight, he did just get taken down a bunch. Now, maybe I'm underrating Altamirano, because, I mean, he has a loss on the record to Felipe Dos Santos, but from memory, that fight was pretty close, and it could have gone to him. But I don't think Dos Santos is amazing at this stage in his career. I think he's just pretty young and inexperienced and not that good. Perez has really clean striking, and his boxing's nice, and he looked good, and he hurt Jafel Filo when they fought. And then he kind of just outswung himself and got tired and then got taken down and subbed. Now, maybe that's a concern. Maybe the heart of Perez is concerned because if it goes past round 1, he might just quit. Or if it goes past, like, I think he's gonna put it on Marano. If Marano can take it, no diddy. But if he can take the shots, then I think he could probably maybe win the second and third. But I don't know. Perez, I'll pick him to win. I just got a vibe he's going to show up looking pretty solid. I reckon he'll look better than he did in the debut. And Marano, he just kind of looks like a victim. Perez also kind of looks like a victim. He looks like a bit like of the little brother of like Uriah Faber without the like as long of a hair, if you know what I mean. He kind of looks like that. He's got like the fucking butt chin, if you want to call it that. What kind of you shake that fucking chin, where the ring girls, fucking shake your chin up there. That's a fucking good substitution. But no, I don't know what I'm talking about here. But yeah, Daniel Perez, I'll pick him to win. I reckon his boxing's a little bit better, a bit cleaner, gets it done. I'll say TKO. I actually think he could catch Marano and finish him. Let's move on though to the next fight. Next up, we got Eileen Perez versus Daria Zelezniakova, or whatever the fuck how you say that name. I'm gonna be picking Perez. She's caked up. She's got a lot of mass in the lower half, and I reckon she can utilize that here to get a good top control based win. Zelezniakova looks like a fucking plastic surgeried up weird fucking person. Perez is also kind of clapped, but at least she's got cheeks. So my analysis of this fight is I would rather fuck Perez, I guess, than Zelezniakova, and neither of them look considerably more attractive than the other one. So there's no like lesbian factor here. I know Perez is straight. There's literally videos online of her sucking cock. That's a fact. You can look them up. Not that I have, but they're out there. But Eileen Perez, I think she's fought the better opposition. And Zelezniakova, I think her last fight, she fought the Montserrat Hendon, and I think she won a robbery decision, or I don't know. It's women's MMA. All of the fights are 29-28 split decisions anyway. So it's a coin flip, but yeah, I think Perez is better, and she's got the takedown advantage here, so she should get the win. Let's move on though to the next fight. Next up, we got Taylor Lapis versus Vince Morales. I'm gonna pick you up Lapis. I think he's actually pretty solid. He's a good technical French striker. I would say he's like the bantamweight fucking version of Cyril Gane. Like, I'm not just saying because he's like a black French guy and that's a kickboxer. That's not the reason, but they fight very similarly. Use that outside movement. He's actually got decent takedown defense as well. He did get taken down by Farid Basharat, that is. I think Farid's the better Basharat. Javid, losing to him wouldn't be a great look. He lost to Ayman Zahabi. But Farid's undefeated, and I think he's pretty solid. So I reckon that loss ain't too bad of a look. And then in his next fight after that, he fought Cody Stamen, stuffed all his takedowns, kept it on the feet, and beat him up. And I think that was a really good performance. So Lapis, in his second UFC run, I think he's looking a lot better than he did the first time around. And Vince Morales is coming back to the UFC after some time off because he got cut, I think, and he went on a bit of a run. But I don't think he's all that. I don't know. I think Lapis also, it's in France. I think that's going to be a default. Any fight that might go decision, that might be close, you got to just assume they're going to give it to the French fighter. So that's why I am probably going to be picking most of the French guys here. There'll be some exceptions. But Lapis, I think he's solid. Good striking. I rate him pretty highly. I think he's like, maybe not right now, but 1 or 2 fights from now, could be looking at a top 15 guy, and I think he's a pretty good striker too, so I reckon he could do well against some of those bottom top 15 guys. But let's move on though to the next fight. Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Klein is the lock of the card. I think that is my most confident pick. That would be the fight where it's like, yeah, if this guy loses, you fucking die. I'm gonna say I'm trusting Ludovic Klein to beat Roosevelt Roberts, whose UFC career is literally just getting highlight reel finished. Like, he fought on the fucking he fought on the veterans versus like prospects season of Tough as like a veteran, or some shit, and he was just mid and he lost, and then he got signed anyway, because he fought in the UFC before, he got wheel kicked by Barmondes, and then he came back and then he fought fucking Rebecca and got subbed in the first. I think Klein's better than Rebecca. I think Klein's just a way better version of Rebecca, to be honest. I think he's got great takedown defense, which I doubt Roberts is going to wrestle. And yeah, he's gonna have a big reach advantage here, obviously, because you're gonna have a big reach advantage if you're fucking 6'2" at lightweight or whatever. Klein's also a midget, used to fight at featherweight, but Klein's a manlet. He's got the little fucking big meaty hooks, got the short man power. He imposes his will, and also dominated Bahamondes. That needs to be mentioned. That win has aged very well, because since then Bahamondes has looked real good. So I think Klein's real good. Not much of a detailed prediction here, because he's just going to win. He's going to finish him. See, go back and watch his fight with AJ Cunningham. Klein is not a guy who kind of takes a can into the second round and goes, at this stage, I think Klein is dealing with cans very quickly. We saw how he dealt with Cunningham. I think he's going to do the same thing to Roberts. Just chop him up and cook him with body shots, cook him with hooks, and finish him with strikes inside the first round. Let's move on though to the next fighter, or next fight. So we got Omar Sy versus Dawoon Jung. Now, if you looked at my community posts the other day, I actually posted some amazing financial advice, which is betting on all the black French guys, or if you want to go, you don't need to stick it to just French, you can bet on Balaji Oki, Taylor Lapis, Omar Sy, and Morgan Charrier, and we call that the N-words in Paris parlay, and that's free money. This is not financial investment, but no, that is what you should be betting on, and if you're not, then you really have nothing, you don't want to make money, that's free money. You're telling me that those guys ain't going to win in Paris? You get Omar Sy, Charrier, and if you want to be risky, I said you do William Gomez, but that's a dumb idea. But if you want to be retarded, you can do that and add him in. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the N-words in Paris parlay. It's going to hit for sure. Omar Sy is part of it. He's going to win. Dawoon Jung gets submitted. Carlos Olberg submitted you. Carlos Olberg's not a grappler. Omar Sy is a grappler. Omar Sy is good at submissions. He's going to submit you. There's a setup fight. He's going to get a finish. I reckon round 1 or 2 submission takes him down. Maybe Dawoon Jung's a bit tricky on the feet, and Omar Sy is maybe he's kind of getting fraud checked. He'll take him down. He'll get him down. He'll be too physical. He'll be too strong. Dawoon Jung's Korean. He's not strong. He's not. That's the weakness of some of these Asian fighters, the Koreans and stuff. They get out muscled and out strengthed a lot. They got good chins for the most part, but they get out-strengthed a lot. So yeah, I reckon Omar Sy is going to win this fight by early submission or maybe TKO on the ground. Let's move on though to the next fight. Ion Cutelaba versus Ivan Erslan. Now, I'm tempted to pick Cutelaba because Ivan Erslan is unproven and got KO'd literally 2 fights ago. He won his most recent fight against it was a decent. I think he fought a decent opponent. I think it was 10-2 or something. Before that, he lost to a 19-5 guy. And he does get finished a little bit. He's been submitted. He's been finished with strikes. He's got 3 losses on the record, which is not a great look. It's not like he's some undefeated prospect. But also, I think that's good. It means he's actually fought a good level of opposition. He's been fighting in KSW. And I think a lot of those KSW light heavyweights and middleweights and heavyweights are actually UFC caliber. And they're unranked. A lot of them unranked caliber. Cutelaba, you can't tell me right now that guy's not just a top 10-ish KSW fighter probably. Cutelaba, I don't think Cutelaba's the kind of guy who would go over to KSW and just be a champ. I don't think he's that good. Erslan, I don't think he's amazing, but he seems to have power, and Cutelaba, I think this is a battle of the glass cannons, to be honest, because maybe Erslan's got a chin, I'm not sure, but I just look at a KO on his record and assume he might have a chin issue. But these two are both just going to go in there and chuck him. And I was thinking about a Cutelaba pick, and I went back and looked at his record, and I realized I cannot pick someone who loses to Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann, and Kennedy Ezetrukwu. I cannot pick someone who loses to just the 3 absolutely shittest, worst fucking technique light heavyweights that only have power. So I'm going to back Erslan, even if he's shit with no technique and all power. I think that's the way you beat Cutelaba. This guy, he got KO'd by Uncle Live in the rematch, obviously. That's not that bad of a look. But yeah, Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann, and Kennedy and Ezetrukwu, all by finish. Terrible look. Also, lost to Felipe Lins. Terrible look. So yeah, Cutelaba, I think he's finally going to get that one final loss where it's he doesn't quite rebound from this one, because he always kind of rebounds with just a retarded KO or something. But no, I think this is going to be where we see Cutelaba lose and maybe get cut from the UFC. Yeah, that's my prediction. Erslan by a round 1 finish. Let's move on though to the next fight. Moving on to the main card, Matt Frevola versus Fares Ziam. Now, Fares Ziam might be of Algerian descent, which yes is technically in Africa, but he's most certainly not in the N-word. The N-words in Paris parlay. Definitely not trusting just this fucking lanky, tepid range striker with no power and no danger. I don't know why he's a favourite. I've looked recently. Apparently, he's now switched over to a favorite. Maybe he's just really technically good, and he's gonna beat Favola here, and he's French, so he's gonna win. But I don't think he's going to. I think Favola's too good. I don't think Favola's getting chinned by Perez, who's not chinning anyone. Like, decisions with, like, Jai Herbert, Claudio Puelles. I don't think you're KOing Favola. I think people forget, man. As Rogan would say, people forget, man. Matt Favola, he KO'd Drew Dober. Nobody KOs Drew Dober. I think that is a really good win. Now, I know he got KO'd by BSD, but, like, whatever, it's fucking head kick, he got KO'd. Like, BSD's real good. Like, if BSD had then gone on in his next fight and beat fucking Poirier, no one would be, like, judging Favola for that loss. It's like, oh, you lost, but you... I don't think anyone really judges him anyway, because it was a head kick, whatever, it was pretty quick into the fight. He was looking okay before then. But I just don't trust Perez, who I just don't think is capable of damaging another fucking human in his fight style. I'm not going to trust him to win. Now, maybe it's just the most boring fucking fight, but I don't think Favola has boring fights. I don't think Favola is just going to get held at range and fucking tepidly leg kicked and just jab merchanted to a decision by Perez here. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Favola's aggressive, and I think to stop Favola, you got to have power coming back his way. You got to KO him. You got to be a Terence McKinney or a BSD or someone who can match the aggression and do it better. I don't think you can be a fucking... Like, even he beat Jalen Turner, which is not a bad win to have. But yeah, I don't think you can just be some lanky fucking range striker with no power and just hold Favola on the outside. He's going to get on the inside. He's going to fucking KO you if you're not really good. Or you have to wrestle him, and I don't... Like Soyukian did, and I don't think that fucking Perez, who looks like a twig, is going to wrestle Favola. So yeah, I'm picking Favola to get back in the win column and get the win and silence the French crowd, even though they probably won't even like care about Perez anyway. Let's move on though to the next fight. Next up, we got another leg of the N-words in Paris parlay. It's Morgan Charrier. He's going to win. He's going to beat Gabriel Miranda. They were giving him even more of a layup. This guy was going to fight AJ Cunningham. And AJ Cunningham was about to have had to go on from Ludovic Klein to Morgan Charrier in Paris. And that would have been tough. I think Charrier is good. You might look at his record and think it looks just fucking stinky as hell. Which it kind of does, like on paper. You know, Anthony Smith style, it's not a very good record. He's lost to a lot of guys. I think he's 19-10 or 19-9, something like that. But in my opinion, he beat Chepe Mariscal. I thought that fight was a robbery. I thought he won the first and second. And then even the third was like pretty close. He kind of just got held down a bit at the end and had some ground and pound. I think Charrier is good. I think he's pretty high level. He's also not too old either. He's pretty young. Maybe, I know Guru won't shut the fuck up about how the UFC signed him and not Paul Hughes. I don't care. Fucking Paul Hughes, who cares? Like, sure, sign Paul Hughes. But like, Guru's just like, I swear to God, he will not go a single fucking video without mentioning anytime he's talking. Anytime he ends up talking about Charrier, he'll be like, but they didn't sign Vucenic or Paul Hughes. He just won't shut the fuck up about that. But still, I think Charrier is good. Still think he's very high level. The other before, bro, he tweeted saying, how come the UFC is signing Dorita and not prospects like McGrillen? Like, bro tried to sneak in McGrillen. Like, he said Hughes and Soldage, and then he said McGrillen. I was like, bro tried to sneak in McGrillen. Like, McGrillen's not a prospect. He got KO'd by a fucking 8-4. Not KO'd, he lost to an 8-5 opponent. Like, bro, just because he's English and white doesn't mean you have to fucking glaze him. But, moving on. Yeah, Charrier's real good. Miranda, he beat Shane Young. He lost to BSD. I mean, it's kind of hard to figure out what level you're at there, because BSD's real good, and Shane Young's real bad, so he's somewhere in the middle. But I think Charrier is closer towards he's definitely not nearly as good as BSD, but he's closer towards the BSD level than the Shane Young level, in my opinion. He's also taking the fight on short notice. I think he's going to lose. I think it's going to look pretty bad for him. And he's probably going to get finished in front of the Paris crowd. I know Sherry's not the craziest finisher, but last time he fought in Paris against the Can, he got the win by TKO. I reckon it'll be a tougher fight, maybe round 2. He gets the finish, but yeah, I don't rate Gabriel Miranda that highly. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, we got Kevin Jett versus Brian Battle. Now, this is like my bigger underdog pick of the card. Like, Fravola's an underdog, Perez is an underdog. But this is like the main sort of underdog. Urslan, I think, is a slight underdog. But this is like the main underdog pick of the card here. I think Kevin Jett's going to win. And it's not just because I think they might just give him the decision if it's close. I think Brian Battle is solid, but I think Kevin Jett's striking is pretty good. Now, maybe I need to go back and rewatch his fight, because he did finish Kiefer Crosby in round 1, but that's not that impressive. Like, Crosby sucks. And he took Song Kanan to a decision. But I'm just going to say this. I know Ian Gary finished Song Kanan, but also Jett didn't get tagged by Song Kanan or wobbled or dropped or in trouble in that fight. He just tuned him up the whole time, and I think that performance was pretty good. Now, Song Kanan's not very high level. I don't think he's nearly as good as Brian Battle. But Brian Battle, like, who's he beating that's, like, really good? Like, Angelusa was an eye poke, but he was winning that fight. AJ Fletcher. I think AJ Fletcher rocked him in their fight, and he was at, like, a fucking 8-inch reach disadvantage because AJ Fletcher is a midget. So I think he still rocked Brian Battle, I think, in their fight. Like, Battle, I think, is good. But I don't know, I think he KO'd, like, Gabe Green, because Gabe Green ran into him like a spastic. Brian Battle's a fucking Apex merchant. He's not gonna fucking get a win in Paris against a French guy. It's not happening. He's gonna go back to the Apex, and he's gonna get a fucking unanimous decision win over fucking Tim Means or some shit. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Jet's winning. I could see split decision. Maybe it's a controversial one. Maybe Battle wins the third. But I think Jet's striking's good. He's apparently, like, he's talked very highly of by the CKB guys, which I know, obviously, your guys from your gym are going to talk highly about you, but, like, all accounts is this guy's pretty fucking solid, and his losses on his record is to, like, JDM and, like, one other guy, but he's lost to JDM, like, that's not that big a deal. So yeah, I think Jet's going to get the win here by decision. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Anderson Brito versus William Gome. Now, this is the one leg of the N-words in Paris parlay that I would probably say to leave out, because I don't think William Gome is winning, and it's the same reason why I'm picking Frivola against what's his name, fucking Ziam, because I don't trust some lanky, tepid range striker with no power and nothing to deter his opponents. You need to be able to deter Frivola, just like you need to be able to deter Brito. And I think if you can't deter Brito, unless, like, maybe he shows up looking shit and ends up like the Aljo fight, Algio or whatever, which isn't a great look in hindsight. Aljo's not that good. But yeah, like, William Gomez, I don't think William Gomez is quite as good as Bill Aljo. William Gomez, I think, is extremely mid. It's really funny to think that, like, people were genuinely, like, picking this dude against Jean Silva, and then he pulled out of that fight because he had a shit weight cut and looked like he was about to die. So, yeah, people were picking him against Jean Silva. To see what then happened, Silva fucking beat Charles Jourdain, and then he beat Dober. I'm going to just say this, if Gene Silva had fought that version of Gomez that almost died on the scale, which apparently they were, like, borderline about to let that go through, if Gene Silva had fought that guy, we might have witnessed a death, because he did not look good on the scale. Now, maybe he has another rough weight cut, maybe he just does a little tepid range striking, go to a boring decision and gets the win, and just beats the most auraless fucking featherweight on the roster. Like, literally, Weston Wilson has more aura than this dude. Maybe he somehow beats Anderson Brito. I don't think so. Brito literally beat Diego Lopez. Like, that needs to be mentioned. We need to start talking about this guy like a top 10 quality, like, fighter. He beat Lopez, and he beat it without it getting in as much trouble as Evloev did. Let's just say that. So Brito, he's on a big win streak. I think he's going to get the W. He beat fucking, what's his name? The soy English guy. Jack Shaw in his last fight. Chewed his legs up. I think he's going to have good leg kicks. I think it's just too aggressive. Like, William Gomez doesn't have stopping power. He's not that crazy technical, and he's not going to out-wrestle him like Jonathan Pierce was kind of doing a bit in their fight. So yeah, I just don't see anywhere where he's better than him. But again, if you want to just do it for the memes and chuck him in the N-words in Paris parlay, then feel free, but I think Brito is going to get the win by finish. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, we got Nassourdine Imavov versus Brendan Allen. I'm picking a Mavov to win. He's better than Brendan Allen. I saw Bedtime's video before. Bedtime's picking Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen is not winning, bro. He's not beating a Mavov. Brendan Allen has no aura. He looks like a fucking spastic. I also hate Brendan Allen, so I'll be very upset if he wins, because I don't want to see him succeed in the sport. But no, Brendan Allen, I don't think he's good at all. Like, I do not think that scraping a split decision over Chris Curtis and then beating Paul Craig and Andre Muniz means you're top 6. Like, he's ranked like number 6 or 7 in the UFC rankings. Like, how? He beat Chris Curtis and Paul Craig. Chris Curtis is he even still ranked? He might be number 15. And then, and Paul Craig is fucking shit and unranked and terrible, and he's going to lose his next fight to Bo Nickel or whatever. But, like, how the fuck are you number 7 ranked by beating Muniz? You beat Bruno Silva, Meniz, Bruno Silva, Paul Craig, and then Chris Curtis. How are you number 6 or 7 ranked in the division? He's not good. Amavov, even though I think Delizzi sucks, I think the way he beat Delizzi and just didn't even remotely get like fluked by him. Delizzi's a guy that has the potential to fluke it against a lot of guys. Or like he had a close fight with Vittori, where his Amavov just tuned him up and beat him. And then Cannonier, say what you want, early stoppage. I think he was beating Cannonier. I think he was going to win that fight regardless. And I think he's improving. And I think when we see this guy fight in Paris, like against Buckley, he turns it up a bit and he doesn't just fight like, like tepid range strike. This is a term I like to use for a lot of these kickboxers, tepid range strikers. That's what he does a lot of the time against guys like Buckley in France when he like turned that mode on, and he's actually going for it. He actually strikes aggressively, and when he strikes aggressively, he's fucking fun to watch. Also, needs to be mentioned, actually had like a close-ish fight, 3-2, maybe 4-1, with Sean Strickland. You want to know what happened when Brendan Allen fought Sean Strickland? You're fucking KO'd immediately. Sean Strickland KO'd you, that's a terrible look. Strickland's good. But yeah, I don't care if you lose to Strickland. Amavov lost to Strickland. Can't be getting finished by Strickland. Also, Amavov took the 5th round. Now, there's only 3 rounds, so maybe Allen can just be a bit too physical and hold him against the fence. But also, I think the referees are going to be very fucking quick to stop any like stalling or separate the cage control if the grapplers, because a lot of these guys are French. A lot of the French guys are strikers who are probably going to be looking to stay at range. So if these grapplers start coming and just holding them against the fence, the refs are going to be doing the Herb Dean. Come on, like, let's work. That's what the refs are going to be doing. So I don't think Allen's going to just be able to stall him out. I don't think he's taking down Amavov. I think Cannonier kind of just muscled him around. I don't think Brendan Allen's going to muscle him around. And yeah, cool. You took Chris Curtis's back. He also got rocked by Chris Curtis, who had a massive fucking reach disadvantage, if I remember correctly. I think you're going to lose. I think Amavov's too good. And I think he could get a finish. And in my opinion, we might see Amavov just tune him up for the first 2. He's feeling himself. The French crowd are getting behind him. It's a sick performance to watch. And then he gets a finish in the 3rd, cracks Allen, wobbles him. And I still don't think Allen has a very good shin at all. So yeah, I'm going to be picking Amavov, and I don't think Brendan Allen gets this one done, to be honest. I don't think Brendan Allen is destined to be a top 5 middleweight. And if he is, then the sport's doomed. But let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Main event of the evening, Benoit Saint Denis versus Renato Moicano. I cannot afford to lose, my brother. I think this is going to go badly for Moicano. I think we're going to see some cope from some specific people. Guru. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to see here. I think we're going to see people who, for some reason, are picking Moicano because they definitely aren't just picking him because they did an interview with him. No. All respect, like, Moicano definitely could win this fight. I think this is like a possibility that he wins. I just don't trust him to win. And again, I'm not picking against French people in Paris, especially BSD. I am picking against some of them. I'm not picking against BSD in Paris, bro. This guy turns into a fucking, like, this guy powers up when he fights in front of his fucking French crowd, I swear. Fought against Moises, just like so much fucking aura in that performance. People are going to say glaze, but like, come on. People watched that performance. Lucas Tracy watched that performance and literally just started calling BSD Khabib. Like, that's what I'm talking about. This guy's really good. People forget, man. No, but like, he fought Poirier and he had staff. And I know you can say, like, excuses, cope, whatever. Poirier probably still would have beat him on the feet because BSD's striking is kind of dog shit. But I don't think Moicano's got the stopping power to beat him. And it's the same reason why... It's the same logic why I'm picking Brito against Gome. Because it's similar sort of... It's not that similar, but like, in terms of the concept of like, Gomes doesn't have enough fucking power to stop Brito. Like, Moicano's got some clean striking and shit, I guess, but he doesn't have enough power to stop BSD. He's not going to drop him. He's not going to put him down. He's not going to put together combinations and catch him with a counter shot like Poirier did and drop him. I just don't see that happening. I also think BSD is stronger than Moicano. I think he's got a better chin than Moicano. I think he's more powerful than Moicano, more aggressive than Moicano. He's obviously going to look better for the judges as well. Moicano, like, against Doba, like, he was taking him down, doing his thing there, and then Doba kind of got back up and landed some shots and just busted him. Moicano wears damage a lot, gets cut open, gets swollen up, gets dropped by Jalen Turner. Was getting beaten up in that fight against Doba. I think BSD is just a way better version of Drew Doba, to be honest. And Doba's takedown defense is also kind of shit. Via Moicano, you beat a little midget Brad Riddell, and you scraped out a decision over Drew Doba, and then you fucking beat Jalen Turner because Jalen Turner quit like a bitch after trying to walk off KO you. Like, I don't think I think Moicano is good, and I think like he had good wins at featherweight, right? And then he went up, the RDA loss, short notice, whatever. I love Moicano, like he's a fun fighter, and would I be upset if he loses? No. But do I think he's going to win? No. So yeah, I'm picking BSD. I think BSD is too good. I think he's going to remind people, because he's been getting a lot of hate. People really say, and this guy had the nerve to fucking call out Poirier, like, how dare fighters call someone out? No, but BSD I think is good. I think he's going to remind people why he was so hyped up in the first place, and that losing to Dustin Poirier is not a fraud check. And yeah, he was talking about the stuff as well. He literally is like, yeah, I was literally more fresh in round 3 of the Dos Santos fight than I was in round 1 of the Poirier fight. Like, he did look slow as fuck. Like, sometimes he looks slow. He doesn't normally look that slow. Like, you can normally not, like, see and, like, count the gap in between him throwing the punch and the punch landing. And even in that fight against Poirier on the feet, he was still able to press him a little bit and give him some trouble. And yeah, I think he's too strong. I think he's too physical. He might take Moicano down as well. Don't think Moicano's subbing him. BSD, he ain't tapping to a choke, I'll tell you that much. Maybe Moicano gets like a fucking armbar, but I doubt it. Moicano's grappling has been less submission-oriented and more like top control, throw a bit of ground and pound, a lot of lay and pay. Like, that Dober fight was kind of shit, to be honest. Like, it was fun when Dober was doing well, but when he was beating him up. But, like, when Moicano was doing what he wanted in that fight, the fight was dog shit. So yeah, I think people just like Moicano because he's got a fun personality. His fighting style recently really hasn't been that fun. I'm not trying to hate on Moicano, but yeah, I don't know, like, he just kind of takes people down and just does whatever. I think BSD is going to beat him up. I think if he gets him down, he'll beat him up. It'll look like Moises. I think, obviously, Moicano, I think, is better than Moises, but I don't think considerably better or way better in one area. I think Moises probably has, like, more power than Moicano, maybe, or it's close. But yeah, I don't think Moicano is, like, significantly better to the point where the fight's going to look much different. Maybe it goes later. I actually think Moicano's too chinny on the feet. We saw Fazeev KO, and we saw, who KO'd him at featherweight? Am I retarded? Zombie KO'd him. I think it's going to look similar to the Fazeev or the Zombie fight. He's just going to get cracked with someone. He's going to get pressed. BSD is going to come out aggressive. Close first round, maybe BSD is going to get it. A bit of control time at the end, beats him up, lands some good shots. Second round, I reckon he's going to press him up against the cage and land something big, drop him, maybe a head kick, maybe hurt him with a body shot. So yeah, I think BSD is too good everywhere. I think he's got too many ways to win the fight, too many weapons. Also, again, if it goes to a decision and it's remotely close, they're going to give it to BSD. But I do think he gets the finish pretty early. Anyway, that's the card done. Predictions on screen. You can reread them out if you want. Let me know in the comments who you guys are picking in all of the fights. But yeah, more videos coming soon. Let me know which videos you guys want to see me do. And yeah, peace out. See you in the next one.